Think about the last time you opened your eyes in the morning and were already tired. Not because you were sick, not because you slept badly, simply as if during the night something had been in your room and taken away something you can't name. That empty dawn, that causeless exhaustion. Have you ever felt it? That emptying has a name in the teachings Jesus passed down, but which never made it into the Bible, and it has a specific cause, and it has something that stops it. Something Jesus used during his nights while his apostles slept, and that the church knew about but never explained to you. Because the day you knew it, you would no longer need anyone to do it for you. In this video, you are going to understand why your night is not just your night. You will find out what the only incense is that makes that retreat, and why that incense has been within your reach for 2,000 years without anyone explaining how to truly use it. Not as a ritual, but as what Jesus taught that morning. But there is something you need to know first. It is not the three ingredients that make the difference. It is what Jesus said the moment the smoke began to rise. That part was the first to disappear. Without it, what you will have burning tonight is just smoke. And it all started on a night like this. Jesus had spent that night away from everyone. The apostles were sleeping a few steps away. It was long past midnight. And Jesus was sitting in front of a small stone vessel with his hands open before him and his eyes closed. The smoke rising from that vessel slowly filled the room. And if someone had walked in at that moment, what would they have seen? Just a man burning something. But that smoke was not just any aroma, and the expression on Jesus' face at that moment wasn't peace either. It was something deeper, as if everything inside that room had become a little more real, as if, as the smoke rose, something invisible was retreating. When morning came, John approached him and asked, "What did you burn last night?" Jesus turned to him. He waited a moment before answering. That wait that was so habitual for him, the weight that measures the weight of what is about to be said. And then he spoke, "Do you know what the smoke does?" John shook his head. He didn't know. And Jesus explained it to him. I know, but what he told him never reached the pages of the Bible. It never became part of the official teaching of the church, because what he explained did not bind the one who understood it to any institution. It left them free. It left no room for intermediaries, and that is why it was hidden. Think about those nights, you know them. You are exhausted, but you can't sleep. Eyes closed, but something somewhere keeps talking. What will happen tomorrow? What they said years ago, what you have to do. And that voice doesn't stop. It doesn't rest. It moves from one thought to another as if it had its own rhythm. That was exactly what Jesus was describing to John that morning. In the Gnostic teachings, the teachings that Jesus transmitted directly, but which the official church passed through its own filter. What chains people to the night has a name, the Archons. It could be translated as rulers or guardians. They do not arrive through fear or darkness. They arrive exactly through that voice, the voice that sounds at that hour of the night when the body wants to let go, but the mind won't let go. That voice that consumes the entire night. When you wake up in the morning, it's not that you have come from somewhere, it's that you have been stuck in one place. But there is something else you must also know. The Archons are not darkness. Demonizing them also strengthens them. They are a system, and every system has a weak point. Faced with certain frequencies, they cannot function. Like glass that vibrates to certain sounds with the right frequency, that glass shatters. Such a frequency exists for the Archons, and Jesus knew it. Jesus knew it. Not just in theory, he knew it from having lived it. He knew it as someone who spent every night outside alone in that silence. And what he told John that morning was exactly that. Every incense has a voice, he said, a frequency. And there are voices they cannot stand. John didn't understand it at first. Who cannot stand it? He asked. And Jesus answered, those who lock you in the night. At that moment, John asked another question. So do we want to run away from them? Jesus shook his head. Not run away. Creating an environment where they cannot remain is a subtle difference, but it is a critical difference. Because trying to fight those forces makes them more powerful. Trying to ignore them doesn't work anyway. But creating a frequency in which they cannot sustain themselves, that is something else. That doesn't require you to solve their problem. It only requires you to change your own ground. And for that ground, Jesus used a tool, what was burning in that room that night. In the ancient world, incense was not simply an aroma. In Egypt, in Persia, in Mesopotamia, in Israel, incense was an instrument so powerful that the oldest texts called it a bridge of smoke, the bridge between the invisible and the visible. A crossing point, and that understanding went much further back than temple rituals, to a knowledge that not even written history can reach. The text found in 1945 in the Nag Hammadi region of Egypt, texts that waited underground inside sealed jars. They contain very specific things about the use of incense. What incense? For what purpose? At what time is it burned? But there was something else in those texts, that not all incenses serve the same purpose. Some incenses carry a frequency, others carry a different frequency, and those frequencies attracted certain things and made it so others could not stand them. That morning, Jesus spoke to John about 3 different incenses, all 3 of ancient origin, all 3 used in temples, all 3 mentioned by name in the scriptures. John asked, "Do all 3 work?" Jesus looked at him for a moment, and his answer was not what John expected. 2 prepare you, 1 drives them away. Think about the difference between an incense of preparation and one of dismissal. The incense of preparation leads you into that night. It slows down the mind, prepares the body, but the incense of dismissal does something different. It pushes back what cannot remain in that night. The ground changes, and when the ground changes, everything that remains there either adapts to that ground or leaves. Of these 3, only one does that job, and the name of that incense has been within everyone's reach for 2,000 years. But why is it so powerful? How should it be used? What exactly does it do when lit before sleeping? The name of that incense was never taught. Olibanum, the resin of the incense tree, frankincense. Hearing that name, perhaps it sounded familiar to you, because it is. It was one of the gifts the 3 wise men brought to the baby Jesus. It was used in temple rituals. It was part of the blend of sacred oils that God himself described to Moses. It appears repeatedly in the Old Testament and appears repeatedly in the New Testament. The church knew it, used it in ceremonies and liturgies within the 4 walls of the church, but only there because the church did not say this. You can burn this resin before sleeping in your own room with your own hands, and if you do, you will spend the night differently. When a person can establish that connection in their home alone, they no longer need intermediaries. And saying that meant moving the pillar upon which the entire system was built. That is why it was not said. Put your hand on your chest for a moment, just a second. What do you feel there right now? Is that weight still there? Even if it's small, it continues. But why is it so powerful? Why can't doctors fully explain why some people heal from deep traumas through certain aromas? Why is it that when a grieving person perceives a certain smell, the knot in their chest suddenly unties? Why do some people, upon receiving an intense aroma, relive a moment from 10 years ago as if they were there, as if they were experiencing it right now? The brain can register it, it can document it, but it cannot fully explain why it works with such force. Jesus knew it. The aroma does not reach the brain first, but the body, he told John, and the body is the house of the soul. When the body recognizes something, the soul is already there. The Archons work through the mind, through thought, through stories, through cycles. While the mind is occupied, the body is a different door, and frankincense enters exactly through that door. Even if the mind is still noisy, the body begins to let go of something, and when the body lets go, the mind slowly follows. In the smoke of frankincense, there is boswellic acid. This is documented by science. Its effect on the nervous system is recorded. But what science cannot document is this. When that smoke rises, especially at night, especially in silence, some people feel how something they have carried for years retreats slightly. Not pressure, not intensity, a withdrawal, as if something were no longer comfortable there. Perhaps you felt something similar during your grandmother's prayer, or perhaps an inexplicable but real moment arrived in your own life. What was that feeling? Science cannot put a name to it, but you lived it. Jesus called it something else. He didn't say, everything that loves the smoke draws near to you. He said, everything that cannot stand the smoke retreats. And understanding that difference changes everything. You are not fighting, you are creating a ground. That morning, John asked one more question. Who can use this incense? Anyone. Jesus first laughed silently, then said, whoever carries intention. But he added something else next. And what he added was never taught in the entire history of the church. People do not carry this frequency equally. For some, a door opens. For others, that door is not yet ready. In the Gnostic teachings, this is described very clearly. People are divided into three categories. The helics, completely rooted in the material world. Spiritual questions do not reach them or are shut down very quickly. The psychics, aware of something, but who choose to stay within the system, suspended between the two. The pneumatics, those who carry a spiritual fire, those who never quite fit in, those who in every system, in every institution, in every relationship reached a point where they felt the same thing. This is incomplete. This is not entirely true. This is not me. And this is where frankincense works differently. For the pneumatics, this incense is not just an aroma. It is a moment of recognition because they are already aware of something. They already feel the weight of that night. They already intuit what happens on that threshold, but they cannot put a name to it. They cannot face it. When frankincense is lit, that intuition no longer remains just an intuition. The body recognizes something. A door opens. Sleep is no longer just the end of exhaustion. It becomes a real letting go and changes the morning. You are watching this video and inside you, there is a small movement. Perhaps enthusiasm, perhaps recognition, perhaps the feeling of, I already knew this somewhere. That movement is not accidental. Straighten your spine for a moment, just a little, and observe. What changed inside you with that small gesture? Even if it is small, that change is real. The body always understands first. Now let's get to the practical part. 3 steps. Tonight you don't need anything special. There is no special place. There is no special time. Just before sleeping. First step, put frankincense resin or a frankincense stick in a small vessel or incense holder and light it. Frankincense can be found anywhere in the world, in pharmacies or herbal shops. It is not expensive. It does not require anything special. It is only important that it be real frankincense. Resin or stick, not synthetic fragrance. And when you light it, just light it. Do not do it as a ritual. Do it as an action, as an intention. Tonight I open this door. Second step. While the smoke rises, sit down, back straight, close your eyes and simply inhale that aroma. The mind will be noisy. Thoughts will come. Do not chase them. But with each inhalation, return your attention to that aroma as if that aroma were a thread and you were following that thread. The brain will keep talking. The body will be doing something different. Allow those two things to happen at the same time. You don't have to choose between the two. Both can be there at once. Third step, hands open with palms facing up. And say only this, inside, out loud in a whisper, however you want. May everything that does not belong to me retreat. May I remain. Just that, not a long prayer once, but say it completely. In the teachings of Jesus, there were no long rituals, just a few words and an intention. Because without intention, words are empty sound, and without words, intention is empty energy. When these two unite, something moves, and frankincense anchors that movement like an anchor, like solid ground under your feet. Tonight, just these 3 steps, nothing more. The first night, perhaps nothing, perhaps something small. Some people describe this. As the smoke rises, they feel something in their chest loosen a bit. The thoughts are still there, but as if they had moved away a little, as if the volume of the noise had been turned down a bit, small but noticeable. And that small difference makes that night a little easier to sleep through. At the end of the first week, some people notice this. Upon waking in the morning, in that first instant, before thoughts begin a little more calmly, that morning weight is not as heavy when they open their eyes for the first time, as if they had truly spent the night, as if they hadn't simply disappeared and returned. Something inside settled, something small, but real. At the end of the first month, some people say this. The night already feels different. Difficult days keep coming, burdens keep coming, but letting go of that burden at night becomes a little easier, as if sleeping felt safe again, as if the night were once again a place where one can be. And a night that feels safe changes the morning that comes after. But now I need to tell you something. When you try this practice, you will hear a voice inside you. Perhaps that same night, perhaps the next day. This is nonsense. What can an aroma do? Or more subtly, maybe it works for others, but I'm not one to believe in these things. Or the most common one, I'll do it tomorrow. That voice is not yours. That voice is the voice of what locks you in the night, and it gets stronger exactly at the moment you're about to do this practice, because it knows how close you are. The Archons do not love silence. When the frankincense rises, they are no longer comfortable there, and things that are not comfortable make noise. If you hear that voice, know this: you are in exactly the right place. Do not try to push it away. Just observe it and do the 3 steps tonight. Put your hand on your chest for one more moment right now. Just feel. That rhythm started before you, and that rhythm brought you to this teaching. And there is something else I want to tell you. In the ancient world, those who understood what frankincense did not only use incense, there was something else, something on the hands, a cleansing. But that cleansing was not ordinary hygiene. It was a ritual that prepared the material layer of the body. The incense arrived from the air. This, on the other hand, acted directly on the body, on the skin. And in that ritual, there were also ingredients that could be found at home, that could be prepared, that did not need to be bought. 3, that knowledge was also hidden because that too left no room for intermediaries. But for tonight, this is enough. That is, tonight there is frankincense. Tonight there is a door to open. What you have carried for years has a name, and that name is not against you. It is a name that was given to protect you. The Archons know that name. Frankincense reminds you and them of it. Tonight, light the incense. Sit with your hands open and simply let go. If this knowledge has transformed the way you perceive the shadows of your rest, make sure to subscribe and like our channel. We are rescuing the history they tried to bury. Cultivate your own future. The next treasure of wisdom will open very soon.